Hello, you're welcome to another exciting edition of The Agenda. It's your program, it's our program, and you know what we discuss on The Agenda. We try to ensure that the perspective of the country is placed on the fore. Well, as long as there are issues that are bothering the hearts of Nigerians, we try to bring that on this platform and deal with it precisely. Well, you're welcome once again. My name is Philippi Haza. The World Poverty Day was marked on Wednesday, October 17. Well, various non-government organizations and community charities support the day for the eradication of poverty by actively calling for country leaders and governments to make the fight against poverty a central part of foreign policy. Now, this is the reason why we chose to discuss the challenge of child poverty and environmental degradation in this edition of The Agenda. Don't forget. All right. And now, to do justice to this issue, I have Buchi Atunwo, a gospel music artist, and, well, he's an educationist also, and a goodwill ambassador of the Inner City Missions. You might be wondering, it's a ministry arm of Christ Embassy dedicated to taking children off the streets. He's right here in the studio, and I'm meeting him right now. You're welcome, sir. Enough respect.
Respect, yeah.
Respect. Good to be with you on set.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
All right. First of all, I want to ask, because you're going to be giving us a lot of views on how to deal with eradicating poverty, especially when it has to do with taking children off the street. So how did you celebrate your World Poverty Day?
Well, should I say I went about doing good.
Doing good. Great. Okay.
Especially for children.
Okay.
I went talking about them to all who would care to listen. And there is something around us that we seem to be overlooking. And that's the presence of too many children. The incidence of too many children needing help. Needing help as basic as food. Yes?
As basic as food.
As basic as food. And, well, that's what I did yesterday.
That's what you did. Great. Okay. All right. Now, let's go straight to the questions. The United Nations Day for the Eradication of Poverty is majorly to promote awareness to eradicating poverty. How do you think Nigeria has fared in this regard, promoting awareness about eradicating poverty? Because that's the reason why the United Nations Day was instituted in the first place for World Poverty Day.
I like the dichotomy you've drawn between promoting awareness of it,
exactly,
and actually measures towards eradicating poverty.
Yeah.
Well, in promoting awareness, I think that we've done much less, incidentally, than we have done in the actual work against poverty.
That's in Nigeria?
In Nigeria.
Sure, okay.
Not many people know, or not many people realize. It's not on the front burner of our hearts. Even the hearts of the individual to begin with, not to talk about government policies,
yeah.
Which is where we're coming to a large extent, talking about the goodwill ambassadors of Inner City Mission.
Maybe you could throw some more light so people can be carried along.
Well, the Inner City Mission, like you rightly pointed out, is an arm of the ministry of Christ Embassy Church.
Okay. Is it worldwide or?
Worldwide, yes.
Worldwide, okay.
Worldwide. Because these inner cities are actually everywhere.
Everywhere, okay.
It's not something restricted to Nigeria. It's a worldwide phenomenon to find children in poverty. Now, the thing is that nearly all around the world, you find adults groaning in the pain of economic policies, hardship, joblessness, and so on and
Tax
so forth.
policies, yes.
And we are saying if the adults could feel so much pain, what about the children? You can now imagine the children who depend on these adults. They are at the receiving end of the crisis, should I say?
Yes.
I think it's come to that point where we can definitely say that
economic crisis.
Yes, there is a crisis. Okay, not many people get to talk about this even, not to talk of taking action against it. Now, at the Inner City Mission, we're not about criticizing government. We're not about criticizing people who haven't done what they ought to do. What we're doing is to say, hey, there is something that you can do. There is something that everyone can do.
Okay.
The task of getting the children off the streets, the task of alleviating or eradicating poverty is not just the responsibility of governments all around the world, but to a large extent, that of individuals. There is something that everyone has to give. A striking example, at the inner city mission, we had gone to evacuate a family of 4 living by a high-tension transformer.
Wow.
A high-tension transformer.
Living by?
Just by it.
Wow.
And that was their shelter. Wow. In the open. Only peril and danger covered their every side.
That was the rent they were paying?
Wires here. And
that was the rent they were paying for the accommodation?
You know?
That's strange.
It was a painful sight to behold.
Wow.
Now, when we went there to get this woman off the street with her children, I was shocked to find that there was another woman there with 2 children.
Wow.
This woman that we went for had graciously accommodated another woman with 2 children who was homeless. And now that struck me. If this woman, who herself needed help, and for whom we had come, had something to give
even in that
person,
state.
even in that state, she had a little space in that endangered zone to offer another family that was stranded. That was striking. Everyone has something to give. Everyone has something to give. And that's what we're saying, that wherever you are, in whatever situation you found yourself, think again. There must be something you can do about our children who are roaming the streets, poor and destitute.
So can you quickly give us what forms of awareness campaigns, not just eradicating, because that was a clear-cut eradication measure that you guys embarked on. Awareness, how are people aware of how to eradicate poverty?
Now here we are, talking about it.
Okay.
It's one good example.
Okay.
And that's something that we have done at the Inner City Mission. We've not been just about our work at the inner city. There is a media aspect of it. Go to television stations, go to media houses, talk to everyone about it, sensitize the public. A wonderful colleague of mine, Sister Tessiri Mowete, wrote a book called Changes, dedicated the proceeds to the eradication of poverty. Yes?
Wow.
Gave it to the Inner City Mission towards this cause.
Wow.
I released an album called Judah, my latest.
Great album.
Thank you very much.
Great album.
And dedicated the proceeds to the Inner City Mission for this purpose as well. There are so many others. Ike Onka did a song on getting the children off the street. So many musicians, especially in our ministry, are now beginning to do this, to sing about it. Now that's for awareness.
These are some of the initiatives also. It's also a form of awareness from the Inner City
You know,
wow.
No, this is actually a move. What you're looking at is a move towards eradicating and alleviating. I prefer to say alleviating. Yes, the suffering of these children.
They look so helpless.
So helpless. Oh you know, for a child to be, that's a man that owns the home. And when you go to that home, you find that this is a clear case of a man who has a large heart. How do I explain this? It's an extreme situation.
My God.
He is grappling with children who are not just poor, but as you can see, they have health and developmental medical issues.
And is he doing that single-handedly? Or
he's doing it all by himself. This is not a government institution.
Agency. Wow.
No. And so Inner City Mission reaches out to people like this
with these initiatives
to help them. Yes. So we're not just
doing it all by yourself.
All by ourselves.
You also
we realize all too well that this is something that we cannot alone handle. We cannot identify all the children who are in this kind of situation. We cannot identify them, get all of them off the streets. So what we do is to support orphanages who are doing this. Exactly.
So it's more like
and
a
that's
collaboration.
one of them that you just saw.
Wow, great job. Okay, Well, the Millennium Summit in 2000, where the world leaders committed themselves, you know, to ensuring that they alleviate poverty, and that was in 2000, okay, and well, they've done so much. They committed themselves financially, and you know, right now they said they were going to cut half the number of people living in extreme poverty by the year 2015, and that was then. And this is 2012. Do you think they've done much in realizing this objective?
Frankly, and so as not to be unduly critical of government, I don't have the figures to be able to measure how far they have gone in this. But by the look of it, it is doubtful, because we find that it's almost on the increase. The incidence of child poverty is almost on the increase.
I have some figures backing that. Maybe I should read that so you could also dwell on this.
Okay.
You know, the world population, out of 6 billion people living in the world today, 1 billion receive 80% of global income, while more than 1 billion barely survive on less than $1 per day.
Okay.
We also have that the developed countries spend $600 billion a year on defense. We have, and they incur $300 billion in direct and indirect agricultural subsidies. They offer only $56 billion a year in aid to developing nations. And then we also have that over the next 25 years, 50 million people will be added to the population of rich countries. But over the same period, about 1.5 billion people will be added to the population of poor countries. So it almost looks like they need to do something about the mindset. Or
now, when I said I didn't have the figures,
yes,
I was talking about a comparative analysis between 2000, when that
initiative was born, yes,
okay, was again, and today,
2012,
okay, what it was at that time and what it is now. This is what it is now. I don't know what it was then at that time. You see what I mean?
Yes.
But this is gruesome. This is still gruesome, and evidently, we're not there yet.
We're not there. We're not
and
close.
That's putting it mildly, okay? But for us, instead of rehashing these things, we're saying, let us begin with ourselves.
Okay.
There is something I can do. There is something you can do. There is something you can do.
Okay.
Yes, let's begin with ourselves. Where you are, look around you. What we're doing at the Inner City Mission is not to take up everyone's get all the children off the streets, like, you know, ourselves, like I said. But number one, sensitize people. Let people know. Ever since Pastor Chris Oyakilome made that call and that profound statement that every child is your child.
Every child is your child.
It's triggered off something in the hearts of so many who are now announcing it to the world, to all and sundry. Remember, every child is your child. And only today in the Rhapsody of Realities we were talking about, yesterday was really, what you could do for them. Very little, seemingly minimal
almost insignificant.
Helping them cross the streets. And when I read that and thinking about it over and over, you find that whatever would be enough for one, whatever portion of food is enough for one, given a circumstance of love and care, would be enough for two. If you've been feeding 7 people in your home, think again, look again. It is possible that you just might be able to feed 8 people.
Wow.
So the extra portion, bring to the Inner City Mission. Take to a motherless baby's home around you. Better still, bring to the Inner City Mission.
To help you channel.
We help them. We can help you manage those resources. Get it to the people who need them.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I've been talking to Mr. Buchi. You know him. I don't need to do the introduction one more time. And we're looking at confronting the challenge of child poverty and environmental degradation. Well, this is the agenda. We'll be back. We'll take a short break. There's more when we come back. Stay tuned.
Approaching the Family Vocational Institute for the Disabled in Agbado Station, Ogun State, it seems all quiet and no activity going on. But as you're walking through these doors, I tell you, tears will pour down your eyes. as you see the challenges of these disabled children?
Rejected and isolated by actions more than words, fearful of losing.
I'm Reverend Okon Usuyak. I'm the founder, the president, Family Vocational Institute for Disabled here in Agbado. We have up to 50 children that are here. This very girl is a Monashi. She is 13 years old. The spinal cord is not there, it's bad. She's always lying down permanently. She doesn't see, you can see. She doesn't blink. Thomas cannot see, he cannot walk, you can see the legs are bad. The hands are okay because he can take food to his mouth. He cannot hear. Samson moves with bum bum. You know, the buttocks is as strong as his toe. On many occasions, we have scarcity of food while taking care of the children.
On behalf of our pastor, Pastor Chris Oyakilome, we present these items to you. All these items here.
I'm saying a big thank you to the Inner City Mission of Christ Embassy and also all the partners. You have come on time. They are just like God. You know, imagine not just taking care of themselves, their family only, reaching out to others.
Jesus in us, He's all the hope in God. If we really can do all things through Christ.
To Pastor Chris Oyakilome, I would like to say to him, God bless him.
Wow, that was very touching there. Well, this is the agenda, and this is what we can get this week. This week's edition is actually giving attention, giving a vent to our children's voices, especially those that hardly are able to feed and hardly are able to take care of themselves. Well, I've been talking to Mr. Buchi, but right now we have another guest. He's very distinguished, and his name is Mr. Daniel Bibinu, a pharmacist, a social expert, and public policy analyst. You're welcome on board, sir. All right, we've been talking so much. Exactly. Because, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you know, we've been enjoying ourselves, and Mr. Buchi has been giving us very, very large revelations of what they have been doing in their body Inner City Mission. You saw some of the clips there, very touching. Now, you know, poverty is closely connected to dirty environments, right, and poor living conditions. Now, what do you think the government can do, or what do you think government can do to improve the environmental conditions? Because I know that both of them are related closely. You know, we have flood, we have lots of disasters around. What do you think government can do? First of all, the government, and then individually, what do you think can be done to reduce the environmental problems, and then as a result, you know, attend to the poverty situation in the country?
Well, looking at what this topic is quite broad.
Yes, it is.
We are looking at the environment, we are looking at individuals, we are looking at government.
And then we're looking at poverty.
And poverty.
Exactly.
So there is a link. They are interrelated.
Okay.
I will approach it from this perspective. We are looking at the environment itself.
Yes.
We know that natural disasters are as old as mankind.
Okay.
Some are man-made to some extent. We create them. Some are occurred naturally. Why I say we create some of them is because of our attitude to life.
Okay.
For instance, the issue of flood, apart from the ones that occur because of banks, the sea level has increased above the normal range.
Yeah.
We also discovered that within the cities, most of our drain systems are poorly constructed or wrongly managed. So we have two aspects here.
Yes.
It's either the construction was not properly done or the individuals have blocked the drainages.
Okay.
Either by virtue of position, directly or indirectly. Some build on these channels.
Yes, they do.
Some dump dirt into them gradually. And with time, you discover that these water bodies cannot have access to flow freely to their usual areas. So because of that, they must occupy somewhere.
Somehow.
That's why they get into our houses and chase us out.
Exactly.
So some of the issues are as a result of our attitude to the environment. The environment is supposed to be restructured, monitored, managed to produce what the society needs. So environmental degradation has different facets.
Okay.
So first and foremost, I'm looking at individual before going to government.
Okay.
Because
Thank you.
the first and foremost, in every setup you find yourself, the individual that are located in that area takes care of the resources located in that environment.
Okay.
As some individual says that every location has an allocation. So I believe that each and every environment has potentials and also has responsibilities.
Okay.
For instance, we are looking at environmental degradation. Let us go to Middle Belt, where there was mining activities, especially in Jos, where we have tin and columbite, tin. And we also have lead poisons of recent in the northern part of Nigeria. I don't want to talk about oil because it's a non-issue. So the people that have gone to do mining in those areas, most of them do that without license. And as a result, when there is any form of flood or rain season, these lead substances are being washed into the river areas. At the end of the day, people take them, and that's why we have the issue of lead poisoning.
Okay.
So naturally, these things could have happened, but because man has encroached into the nature, that's the mother earth,
Improperly.
So that has generated.
I don't know ways to check. I don't know ways to check that.
That's why I said improperly, because those things could be mined, but properly managed.
Okay.
But now here, because they are being, the mining is illegal, they're not going through all the right
Due
processes.
Okay. Okay. Sorry to continue.
Yes, so I'm looking at individuals, and I believe that the major challenge we're having is not the government.
Okay.
It's the individuals that are found within those areas.
I wish you could say that again, so everyone can hear us. Okay.
I said the major problem we're having is a global challenge.
Yes.
But we have to have local approach.
Okay.
Problems are everywhere. Disasters are everywhere.
Exactly.
But it depends how you handle it. So in Nigeria, to be specific, or in Africa, one of the major challenges we are having is that the individuals don't look at the environment as a gift.
Okay.
We cut down the trees. They're supposed to protect the environment. They're supposed to nourish the environment for agricultural purposes.
Exactly.
We cut down these trees and burn them off. We exposed our soil to undue environmental hardship, sun and other things. At the end of the day, discover that the environment, the soil gradually degrades, and it's difficult to revitalize itself. And we say there is a poor produce from the farm.
From the farm.
It's from our attitude.
Okay.
And some of us will go into other activities, bush burning. Those who are into hunting.
Hunting, okay.
So many people have different forms of doing that. Some may set up the entire place ablaze, and they go to the other side, try to hunt any animal that comes on the just fire. As far as they are concerned, they are only looking for animals to kill. They don't know that an attitude of an individual is liable to destroy million potentials of the future generation. So I believe that our major challenge is not the government. It's the individuals located within these areas. The next point I'm looking at is, okay, look at our roads. People are giving the funding to construct the roads, fix the roads. It's the government now. But look at the individuals. It's the individuals that are doing the job. You as an engineer, you're supposed to check the quality of the water, do all your due processes, all the professionals, check them. but we don't do them. So all the problems we are having now, I don't look at government. I look at individual first. We are the first culprit, then the government.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, you heard it all yourself. Well, maybe we should check ourselves now individually and ensure that we are not adding to the problems of environmental degradation, which definitely relates to poverty in the country. So we're still talking about poverty. Let's look at the floodwaters, which have seriously eroded the environment in several ways. Several ways. The Minister of Agriculture came recently to say that there won't be famine next year in Nigeria, which is very difficult to believe because several hectares of farmland were destroyed by the flood in many areas of the country. And then what do you think, should we hold on to that statement? What do you think the government or individuals should do to ensure that we don't experience a lack of food or famine next year?
Well, if it is true, it is true. He must have spoken from a close observation and some kind of analysis of the situation, because the floods were really, really bad. Really bad. Only a few days ago, I drove through Lokoja. Okay. Yes, and I saw children. My attention is really on children. Of course, we'll soon go I saw children, toddlers, sleeping by the wayside, by the expressway, displaced, whose communities had been displaced by the floods. And you find children sleeping by the expressway. It's a terrible, terrible thing. Again, government has done something, yes, but all of us ultimately should do more. You see, the idea, okay, for example, only a few days ago, government approved, as part of the Millennium Development Goals, a certain sum of money, as they call it's called CCT, yes, Controlled Cash Transfers, approving the sum of 5,000 naira for families that are impoverished. 5,000 naira monthly, and then at the end of the year, they are given 100,000 naira to help them begin some form of trade to sustain themselves, these impoverished families, and to help those children. But wait a minute. To give money only as a means of alleviating poverty is narrow, is a very narrow approach. For it is not just the money or the agriculture, you know. These are not the things that are responsible for poverty. Education is key. If you really want to address the issue of poverty, child poverty, begin with educating the children. For a child that is educated has a higher tendency, ability, is better equipped to generate wealth than the one who is not.
But has a lot of wealth, funds.
Exactly. So let's begin with educating the children. Let's begin with educating the populace. So whatever measure we adopt to eradicate or alleviate poverty that excludes education would be narrow and insufficient.
So what you're saying is, if I'm to define poverty from what you've given us, poverty is actually the lack of information or education to create wealth. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that whatever we do, well, the CCT is beautiful. The Millennium Development Goals aimed at eradicating or alleviating poverty, they are beautiful. Giving out the money, beautiful. What the Minister of Agriculture has said, preparing us, ahead of time, so that now we begin to make alternative arrangements and all beautiful. But whatever you do that excludes educating the child as a means of eradicating or alleviating poverty would be grossly insufficient. That's what we think. And that's why at the Inner City Mission, while we're reaching out to these orphanages and helping them, for now, we've been doing food mainly. When we go to these orphanages and we identify that they are genuine, and yes, they're genuine, we do due diligence, and so we begin to give them food aid. But we're looking to very soon begin to help in the education of those children. Because an orphanage, what it does basically is to give shelter. Well, that's what it's become now. Many of them just give shelter and to homeless children. But that's not what it should be. when an orphanage is well funded, it gives more than shelter. It should give education as well. And prepare the child. Yes.
Thank you so much. All right, we have a comment on the show. This is Peter from Port Harcourt. I'll just read it out to us. It says, we enjoy your program. Thank you so much, Peter. Every one of us Nigerians are responsible for the present state of our environment. Okay, government can't do everything for us, but that doesn't excuse the government from their laxity. Okay, that's going by what Mr. Daniel talked about. Okay, Mr. Daniel, now I want you to also look at the children now. About 22,000 children die each day due to poverty. That's the UN's figure. And this is due to a very high number. In fact, it's a high number. It's not a pleasant one to hear that 22,000 people die every day. What do you think the government can do? I'm coming back to the government this time because they are supposed to be the forefront of affairs in the country.
Looking at the figure, I can say that one is the data they're having. But the actual figure is above that.
It should be above that. Wow.
Yes, because this is what they are able to capture. Their data. And there are some people that up to now, you find it difficult to get to where they are.
Where they are. Wow.
And these kids are there. There are some locations that it's difficult for you to access. So those people are not even part of the system.
22,000.
22,000 each day.
So that's what I'm saying. This is just a figure. So to some extent, going by the actuals, you multiply it by 2.
Wow.
Because there are some hinterlands that these health professionals don't have access to. Because of the terrain.
So what should government do?
What should government do? Because it still is a very sorry.
Yes. If you ask me, I would say empower those who are directly involved. If there is not a ministry that can do this directly, identify the people who are doing work
and close to them
and support them so that they can reach those people. Mr. Suyak that we just saw, yes, on the screen, all these places, government may not be able to get to.
These are the kind of places Mr. Daniel was talking about.
And
right?
these are the kind of places that inner city gets to. The inner city mission.
Okay, yes. Great.
So looking at the child mortality rate, as medically put there, we are looking at child mortality rate. A child that is not well fed from an unwell-fed family, from a poor any father and mother, definitely it's difficult for him to have a future.
Of course.
Except in court, in divine intervention. So I think the major challenge is empower the parents.
Okay.
You won't have kids that are dying on the street. Because most of these kids come from poverty-ravaged homes, where access to Medicare is zero, access to food or good food,
of course,
good food is not there, access to parental care is not there. So the poverty we are looking at now, the poverty has different facets. Some individuals are spiritually poor, some are mentally poor, some are financially poor, some are medically poor. So when I talk about poverty, I don't look at it from financial angle. I'm looking at poverty from different perspective. Because an individual who is not well educated or who is not trained, as Mr. Buji has said, definitely the future is bleak. And education should be the mainstay of government. And I believe that in Nigeria or in Africa, though outside Nigeria, most of the education systems are being funded by private sector. Yes.
That's true.
But which is not very good.
Yes. But in advanced countries, that's what they do. Only few institutions are being owned by government. Even in America.
Okay.
The military, yes. Most of the few institutions are owned by government. Only few. Maybe the military and other few systems. But most of the schools are being owned by individuals and private sector. Because they are developed. They say we are developing. From that perspective, I believe that the government should go down. Giving money, to me, is only creating temporary
comfort or relief,
and creating a long-lasting difficulty
and agitation.
Because a child that is used to receiving money on a monthly basis without working for it will be a man that will be lazy in the future.
Wow.
So instead of creating future problems, why not let the future militants, future Boko Harams, and future
what have you?
The best thing for government to do is let us sit down and tell ourselves the truth. Fix the schools. Let us have a standard schools from elementary level
Okay.
If these schools are working, are doing well, gradually, these kids will take care of the environment.
Sure.
But no matter how much you give an individual, not even a child, give an adult 20 billion naira without sound education, you are setting him to confusion.
Wow.
He will soon die.
In any case, when these aids are given to parents, how about the children who are unparented?
Okay.
So there is no parent to receive on their behalf. How do we reach those ones? It has to be through agencies that are set up specifically to do this.
So I'd like you to just round up on that question. Since you phrased it already, it's a beautiful one. Because I was about to give you a parting shot because of time. What do you think in that regard that can be done? Or maybe give your advice to government and individual parastatals?
Look beyond giving money to individuals.
Okay.
As commendable as that might be, as a way of temporary respite, look beyond it. There is much more that we can do. Deal with the situation at its root.
Okay.
And the way to do this is to, number one, establish institutions that would look into this. Number two, empower the agencies, the necessary agencies, that will get to the hinterland and get to these inner cities. Number three, and perhaps the most essential, encourage education from a primary level.
Wow.
After all, Nigeria is a signatory to the charter, the United Nations Charter, that makes education free at the primary level. Why should it become a political gift of an aspiring governor, for example?
Wow.
It is something, it's the basic right of our children. We made them that promise. Let us deliver on that promise.
Wow.
And we would have gone a long way to alleviating poverty.
Okay, I like to take that as a three-point agenda from Mr. Buchi himself. Thank you so much, sir. All right, Mr. Daniel, your parting shot. Give us a strong one.
Looking at poverty, children challenges, the environment. I believe the first thing we have to do as individuals, I and you, are the major cause of the problem.
Sure.
Because our attitude is what is causing most of the problems we have. And I believe that if all of us would change the way we think, the way we do things, and the way we approach challenges, I believe that our environment will be safe, the entire system will be safe, and we'll have a peaceful environment.
Thank you so much. Wow. I've been talking to Mr. Buchi Atonwo. He has done so much justice to this topic today, confronting the challenge of child poverty and environmental degradation in Nigeria. I've also talked to Mr. Daniel Bibino. In fact, he's given us a very bumper-packed views also. But I think, in summary, I think putting a smile on the face of the children close to you today is the same thing as putting a smile on our future for tomorrow, because as Buchi rightly said, according to the inner city views and Pastor Chris, every child is your child. So put a smile on the face of a child around you and ensure that your attitude to the environment is positive, because you're actually shooting yourself on the foot when you're not doing so. So thank you so much for joining us on the agenda. I hope we've been able to drill down on this issue today. My name is Philip Haza. For more updates and comments and views, what you want to contribute, you know where to go to. Place it on agenda@loverplusnews.com, and sure we'll be able to read it out when next we come on the show. Once again, thank you for joining us, and bye-bye for now.